Hey, welcome everyone. We're on the iPhone today. We might switch over. Anyway, I just wanted to let you know the class is happening and stay tuned. We'll be doing some yoga in about 3 to 4 minutes. We'll see you real soon. All right. Looks like we'll roll with the phone this morning. We'll give it another 30 seconds or so. I just bought this new tripod. It's kind of fun to play with. All right. Well, let me introduce Kathy. Why don't you step into the frame? Should be our background this morning as we do our yoga practice. So grabbing whatever feels right and good for you, a water bottle, mat. Always take care of yourself. First rule of yoga. All right. And let's see. We can arrange it that way. Awesome. So finding your yoga space, finding your feet. From your feet, finding your legs. From your legs, finding your spine. Taking a moment just to relax those shoulders. Tall through the crown of the head, without shortening the neck in any way at all. A slight tuck of the chin as we start to take our attention inward. I'll invite you to bring your hands to your heart. A light press of your thumb against your sternum. We can line up each finger. Soft eyes, if you're comfortable with closing your eyes, and we'll take a few breaths just to watch our breath as it flows in and out. Arriving here in our yoga space, ready for a morning yoga practice. From this place of just observing your breath, I'll invite you to shape your breath as you find a long, slow inhalation matched by a long, slow exhalation. As you breathe in, I'll invite you to find a full body breath, bringing the air to the top of the chest, the base of the belly, filling up each side waist, filling up both front and back planes of your body. As you breathe out, I'll encourage you to draw the low belly in and up, connecting back plane of the body with some abdominal engagement. As you draw the kidneys in and up, so it's almost like you're squeezing a tube to squeeze a little more air out, also providing structural support for our bodies, for our backs, with this abdominal engagement on the exhalation. To this deeper, fuller breath, moving towards the Ujjayi or ocean breath, a slight constriction to the base of the throat, adding a slight sound and feel to your breath. And as we flow through our practice this morning, letting the sound and feel of your breath be a focus for your practice, often compared to the sound and feel of the waves of the ocean as the waves wash in and as the waves wash out. To this Ujjayi or ocean breath, I'll invite you to find Jiva Bandha, tip of the tongue to the hard palate just behind the teeth, trying to keep that connection throughout the practice, keeping our jaws relaxed and connecting front and back planes of our body. And finally, with your lips closed, adding a slight smile to your face, opening up the front of your throat so your breath has lots of room to circulate, refresh, and revitalize. Keeping all this, if you close the eyes, opening your eyes, let's bring our hands by our side. Keeping those shoulders relaxed for yet another breath. And then we'll warm up our shoulders and upper back as we inhale the arms up and over the head. Exhaling arms by our side. Let's do that 2 more times. Breathing arms up. Exhaling arms down. Inhaling arms up. Exhaling arms down. Let's add a forward fold, half sun salutation. Inhaling arms up. On the exhale, leading with the heart as we fold. Take a breath to lift chin and tail. On the exhale, rounding the spine as we fold again. Inhaling, setting neutral spine, back of the head in line with the sacrum, hinging at the hips as we rise on up, arms up and over the head. On the exhale, standing tall. 2 more times like this. Inhaling up. Exhaling, leading with the heart as you fold. Take a breath to find length as we lift chin and tail. On the exhale, rounding the spine as we fold again. Inhaling, setting neutral spine, hinging at the hips, arms up and over the head. On the exhale, arms by our side. 1 more to go here. Breathing in, lifting up. Exhaling, finding your forward fold. Take a breath to find length. On the exhale, folding again. Inhaling, riding the breath up. Exhaling, standing tall. Surya Namaskar A, with or without vinyasa, yogi's choice. Inhaling, arms up and over the head. On the exhale, finding your forward fold. Take a breath to find length as you look long, and then grounding on down, either finding your down dog and holding, or cycling through yoga push-up. Inhaling into yoga back bend, and then stretching back to your down dog. As we hold down dog, I'll invite you to bring your attention to the base of your throat. From that place, listening and feeling as your Ujjayi breath flows in and as your Ujjayi breath flows out. From down dog, long, smooth breath in. Long, smooth breath out. On the tail end of that breath, I'll invite you to bend the knees ever so slightly, lifting the tailbone a little bit higher, a little more space in the lumbar spine, and then looking between the hands as we either step or maybe take a jump to the front of the mat. Take a breath to find length when you arrive. On the exhale, folding again. Inhaling, setting neutral spine, hinging at the hips, arms up and over the head. On the exhale, neutral spine as we stand tall. Second one, just like the first. Inhaling, arms up and over the head. On the exhale, leading with the heart as we fold. Take a breath to find length as we lift chin and tail. On the exhale, rounding the spine as we ground down through the hands, either stretching back to down dog and holding, or cycling through vinyasa as you find chaturanga, yoga push-up. Inhaling into yoga back bend, up dog or cobra, hips stay down in the cobra. You lift the hips in the up dog, and then stretching back to down dog. As we hold down dog, I'll invite you to bring your attention to your hands, lots of space between each finger, and then grounding down a little more predominantly between the thumb and the forefinger as we draw the energy up the inseams of the arms. Shoulders engaged, either keeping the neck relaxed and the head super, super heavy, or lengthening up through all sides of the neck as you make your drishti, your eye focus, your navel. From down dog, long, smooth breath in. Long, smooth breath out. Tail into that breath, looking between your hands as you mindfully make your way from. Take a breath to find length when you arrive. On the exhale, folding. On the inhale, riding the breath up, hinging at the hips, arms up and over the head. On the exhale, standing tall. Surya Namaskar B. It starts with a chair pose, knees over toes, hands overhead. Adding an extra breath, exhaling, taking it lower. On the inhale, rising on up, we'll invite you to engage the glutes to support a back bend at the top, open heart, open throat. On the exhale, a big swan dive over. Take a breath to find length as we lift chin and tail, and then exhaling, grounding on down as you find your down dog, either cycling through vinyasa or stretching straight back. And again, take your time, find your flow, follow your breath. From down dog, flow style, big toes touch, heels slightly apart, right leg high to the sky for the three-legged dog. High on the left toes. Now looking between the hands, sweeping that right foot on through, spinning the back heel down, arms up and over the head for a warrior one. And then on the exhale, spinning palms out, finding your low lunge as we spin back heel up, and then back to down dog. As you will, either cycling through vinyasa or stretching straight back. As we hold down dog, moving towards our second side. Big toes touch, heels slightly apart. Left leg high to the sky, high on the right toes. Looking between the hands, sweeping that left foot on through, spinning the back heel down, arms up and over the head for our warrior one. And then on the exhale, back to low lunge. And from low lunge, back to down dog, as you will, either cycling through vinyasa or stretching straight back. And again, take your time, find your flow. Always finding that balance between your effort and your ease. As we hold down dog, I'll invite you to bring your attention to the base of your throat. From that place, listening and feeling as your Ujjayi or ocean breath flows in. And as your Ujjayi or ocean breath flows out. From down dog, long, smooth breath in. Long, smooth breath out. Tail into that breath, bending the knees ever so slightly, lifting the tailbone a little higher. Awesome. And then either stepping or maybe taking a jump to the front of your mat. Take a breath to find length when you arrive. On the exhale, folding. On the inhale, stay low. We'll come back to our chair. Exhaling, taking it lower. On the inhale, rising on up. Glutes engaged to support a back bend at the top. On the exhale, neutral spine. I'll invite you to bring hands back to the heart. A light press of your thumb against your sternum as we line up each finger. And either keeping this light press of the palms as your weight gathers into your feet, or adding an isometric engagement as we press the palms together, elbows out to the side, shoulders engaged, a tuck of the tail, a tuck of the chin, as we connect with the strength of our center. And then hands by our side. From here, let's step or jump our feet hip width apart. Make sure we don't hit each other here, Kathy. On the inhale, we're going to bring the arms out to the side. On the exhale, we're going to cross the hands in front, maybe give those wrists a little flick as we bend the knees. And we'll do 6 of these, switching the cross. And we're halfway done. 2 more each way. 1 more each side. And then back up. And hands by our side. Let's jump it in thin like a pin. Surya Namaskar C, an extended standing pose sequence. It starts with a chair pose. Knees over toes, hands overhead. Taking our chair lower. On the inhale, rising on up as if we're a jack popping out of a box. Open heart, open throat. On the exhale, a big swan dive over. Take a breath to find length, and then breathing out, back to down dog as you will, either cycling through vinyasa or stretching straight back. Again, take your time. So we're going to add a hip opening sequence into our three-legged dog. So big toes touch, heels slightly apart. Right leg high to the sky, high on the left toes. Trying to keep the shoulders just as they are, lifted leg straight as we stack the hips. Now bending that top leg, opening up that hip. And then looking between the hands, bringing that right foot on through, finding our warrior one pose, arms up and over the head. From here, I'll invite you to bring hands back to the hips. We can shift weight onto the front foot as we lengthen our stance when we're stretching our legs. You don't have to overdo that, just find a place where you can work. We can use our hands to steer our hips front. We can find 4 fingers. I find the tip of the thumb. I call this bird beak hands. We can bring those onto our shoulders. It's a nice little hand stretch. Also, we want to remind those shoulders to relax. Using those bird beak hands, we can square the heart front. From here, I'll invite you to find a clasp of the fingers and then bringing the fingers behind the back of the head and then pushing the head into the hands to open up heart and throat chakra, elbows wide to the side. From here, I'll invite you to stretch those hands high to the sky. From here, adding breath and movement, straightening the front leg without locking the knee as we gather up the energy. On the exhale, finding this scarecrow or letter W shape. And let's do that a couple more times. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out, and let's hold this last one. The elbows move back, the hands come with. I'll invite you to wiggle those fingers as we keep our hands supple. Now turning warrior one into warrior two, as hands find the heart, we open up the hips to face the side wall. We'll narrow the stance just a tad. Now classically that's heel to arch alignment, but you could always work that wider depending on the shape and size of your hips. And then finding one long arm looking out over those front fingers with that mixture of effort and ease. From here, let's paint 3 rainbows. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. We got one more to go. Breathing in, breathing out. From here, let's find a rainbow warrior, a clasp of the fingers behind the back, shoulder blades back and down onto rib shelf. And then I'll invite you to challenge your balance to take a forward fold inside the front leg. Shoulders draw up and back towards the hips as you relax the neck and heavy the head. Yeah, try to relax that neck if you can, Kath. Just give it a little shake, give it a little stir, letting any tension in the neck and shoulders just drain down through the crown of the head into the earth, where it's gone, at least for now. You might envision that tension as it drains down into the earth turns it into pure energy. We draw that energy back up through the feet, through the legs, into the hips. And with that engagement, we go a little deeper into the shape. In our rainbow warrior, also just a strong tuck of the chin, feeling the stretch in the back of the neck as we bring it on up. Lifting the chin tall through the crown, ears over shoulders, shoulders over hips. And then coming back to our warrior two, one long arm. From here, transitioning to Trikonasana, the triangle, thumb and forefinger find crease of hip and base of rib. We can deepen that crease, lengthening those ribs. The I'm a little teacup transition. And then grounding that bottom hand down in an appropriate place. We can use that left hand to open up that top shoulder. We can stretch that hand high to the sky. And then finding a drishti or eye focus that works for your body and breath. Down to the ground, very grounding. Off to the horizon, a little less so. Up to the sky, least grounded, but perhaps the most liberating. But there's no right, there's no wrong. Just finding a place to connect with your body this morning. And your breath, of course. As we hold Trikonasana with every in-breath, as the diaphragm stretches down towards the navel, gathering energy in that place, our center of balance. It's either the navel or maybe a little bit below. And then every time you breathe out with an abdominal engagement, squeezing a little more energy out through 2 arms, 2 legs, both ends of the spine, as you make yourself bigger in space. Exploring our lateral top line, I'll invite you to exhale that top hand front as we turn our heart to the floor. On the inhale, lifting hand high as we spin heart to sky. And we'll do this a couple more times. Exhale, and inhale. Exhale and inhale. And let's do one more for good measure. Exhale. Bottom hand joins. We take that twist out of the torso. We breathe 2 hands up and exhale it over. 2 hands up. Exhale it over. 2 hands up. Exhale it over. Let's do one more for good measure. Breathing it up. Exhale it over and hold as we reach, reach, reach. I'll invite you to wiggle those fingers. And then moving towards our half moon as we take a big step in. I'll suggest using 2 hands to set the foundation. Lifting that back leg, hips face the side wall. That left hand can find the hip. We can use that left hand to open up that shoulder. We can stretch hand high, either looking down off to the side or up to the sky. You might play with all 3, just seeing where your body is. If you fall out of the shape, no big deal. I want to make one adjustment here, Gath. Bring that arm a little bit. Yeah, beautiful. Now to come down, no anxiety at all, although I didn't want to say the A word. We can come down in a short stance. Hand finds the hip. We just ground that back foot. We shift the weight into the feet, just like you're coming on up from picking up a speck of dust on the floor. We can lengthen our stance as we shift that back foot back, finding our warrior 2, one long arm. And then I'll suggest a big windmill of the arms as we find our low lunge, spinning back heel up, and then back to down dog as you will. Either cycling through vinyasa or stretching straight back. I can always adjust the camera, don't worry about it. That's a relatively strenuous sequence. Just taking a few breaths here to come back to an even breath. And that's the difference between yoga and cardio. Yoga certainly has a cardio element. The idea is that we move between various breath states. Kind of like interval work if you've ever been on a track team. Now we're going to move towards that second side. Big toes touch, heels slightly apart. Left leg high to the sky, high on the right toes. Trying to keep the shoulders just as they are. Lifted leg straight as we stack the hips. Now bending that top leg, opening up that hip. And then looking between the hands, sweeping that left foot on through. Spinning the back heel down, hands up and over the head for our warrior 1. From here, let's bring hands back to the hips as we shift weight onto the front foot to lengthen our stance. You don't have to go crazy on this one. From here, we can use our hands to steer our hips front. They're not actually going to get there, but we want to feel that energetic action. We can find 4 fingers to the tip of the thumb, bringing those fingers onto our shoulders, so we're sneaking in a hand stretch along with a shoulder relaxation exercise. We're also twisting the torso as we turn the heart front. You should feel that in your side waist. From here, now switching the clasp of the fingers. So there's a place we usually go, now go the other place. And then pressing the back of the head into the hands, open heart, open throat. And then stretching those hands high to the sky. Breathing in as we gather up the energy. On the exhale, offering it out. A couple more times. Breathing in. And breathing out. Breathing in. Breathing out, I'll invite you to hold this letter W, this cactus shape. Elbows move back, the hands come with, wiggling those fingers. And then turning warrior 1 into warrior 2 as hands find the heart. We open up the hips to face the side wall. You might kick the back foot in just a little bit. Heel to arch is the classic warrior 2 foot stance, but you could work wider. And then one long arm. Looking out over those front fingers with that steady yet relaxed gaze. From here, let's paint rainbows. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. One more to go. Breathing in, breathing out. Now holding this shape. Finding that unusual clasp of the fingers behind the back. Shoulder blades back and down onto rib shelf. And then challenging your balance as we take that forward fold inside the front leg. Shoulders draw up and back towards the hips as you relax the neck and heavy the head. I'll encourage you to add a little shake, a little stir, just letting any tension in the neck and shoulders drain down through the crown of the head into the earth. Try to loosen up that neck if you can. Yeah, there you go. And again, I'll invite you to envision that tension when it drains into the earth. The earth's like a carbon filter, turns it into pure energy. And we draw that energy through the feet, through the legs, into the hips. And from that foundation, we go a little deeper into the shape. In our Rainbow Warrior, I'll suggest a strong tuck of the chin as you bring it on up. We'll come back to our Warrior 2. The I'm a Little Teacup transition. Thumb and forefinger find crease of hip and base of rib. We deepen that crease. We lengthen those ribs. Straightening that front leg, keeping a little lock in it without locking the knee. Grounding bottom hand down. We can use that right hand to open up right shoulder. And then stretching hand high to the sky, either looking down off to the side or up past those top fingers with that mixture of effort and ease. And again, as we hold the shape, bringing energy into your center of balance, it's that navel area. And as you breathe out, as your diaphragm domes up to the heart, engaging that navel area, also back navel, as we draw the kidneys in and up, squeezing a little more energy out through two limbs, 2 arms, 2 legs, and both ends of the spine. Always working with that Ujjayi breath, long, smooth breaths in, long, smooth breaths out. Now exploring that lateral top line. As we exhale that top hand front, turning our heart to the floor. On the inhale, lifting hand high as we spin heart to sky. And let's do a few more of these. Exhale. And inhale. Exhale. And inhale. One more for good measure. Exhale. Now the bottom hand joins. We take that twist out of the torso. Pure side motion. We breathe 2 hands up. And exhale it over. These are push-ups for our sideways. Breathing it up. Exhale it over. A couple more. Breathing it up. Exhale it over. Last one. Breathing it up. Exhale it over and hold as we reach. Arms frame the ears, wiggling those fingers. And then moving towards our half moon as we take a big step in. Also, just using 2 hands to set the base. We lift that back leg. That right hand can find right hip. Right hand can open up the shoulder. Yeah, take your time. There's no rush. Opening up that shoulder, beautiful. And then stretching that hand high to the sky. And either looking down, very grounding, off to the horizon, a little less so. Maybe up past those top fingers with that steady yet relaxed gaze. Least grounded, perhaps the most liberating. But if it feels too tippy, of course, look somewhere else. It's all about you, your body, your breath, making choices that suit you. And the great thing about a home practice is sometimes you practice with someone else like I'm doing here, but most often it's all by yourself. So you can do whatever you want, really. From here, coming down with grace and control, the easy come down. Hand finds the hip. We can ground that back foot for a short stance. Shifting the weight into the feet as we come on up. Reestablishing our Warrior 2 as we take a big step back, one long arm. And then I'll suggest a big windmill of the arms as we find low lunge, spinning back heel up, and then back to down dog as you will, either cycling through vinyasa or stretching straight back. Let your breath make that call. Yeah, and again, in yoga, it's breath goes up a little bit, then we bring it back down. Very effective way to train our cardio system, even though we're not push like in a cycling class. And I do believe that there is some interval work in cycling, although I think I did one many years ago. From our down dog shape, long, smooth breath in. Long, smooth breath out. Tail into that breath, looking between your hands as you step or take a jump. Take a breath to find length when you arrive. On the exhale, fold in. On the inhale, stay low, knees over toes, hands overhead. Exhaling, taking it lower. On the inhale, rising on up. On the exhale, neutral spine. I'll invite you to bring hands to heart, and we have lots of options here. A light press of the palms as your weight gathers in your feet. Adding that isometric engagement as we press the palms together, or a third kind of isometric engagement, or a second rather. We find a clasp of the fingers, we keep the heels of the hands grounded, and try to pull those hands apart as we tuck tail and chin, connecting with the strength of our center. And then hands by our side. Let's step or jump it out hip width apart. It's always fun to jump around if you have that in your legs in the morning. Now we're going to bring arms out to one side On the exhale, we're going to bend the knees, give those wrists a little flick as we bring hands through center, and then other side. And we'll do 6 of these. And it could be big, could be small. Just let it be your motion. And a couple more each way. One more each side. And then back up. And hands by our side. Let's go back a little bit here. And let's do a tree pose. So why don't you put yourself right there. So I want to make sure folks can see our feet a little bit here. So hands find the hips. We're going to shift the weight onto the left foot. We're going to take that right foot and we're going to find a tree pose. So you can have kickstand tree, toes are down, heels on ankle knob. You might take that foot and bring it onto the calf. So we're balancing on one foot. Others of us might reach down to catch that foot. Now if you're wearing long pants, this becomes harder. And as we park that foot onto our thigh, the toes face down, the heel faces up. Hands can stay on the hips. We can bring hands to heart. Keeping our shoulders relaxed, maybe we stretch those hands high. Now if the pose feels wobbly, try wiggling your fingers. It seems to help. High hands can come back to the heart. Whoops. Hard hands become hip hands. We can swing this right thigh front. We release the calf, the thigh, or the floor, toe faces down for the flamingo. And if you want to take it a little bit further, leaning a little bit front as we draw energy into our energy center, and then we'll go long through that leg. Soft point to the toe. Flexing the foot as we lift the foot a little higher. And then we'll land a cross step, so right foot is in front of left, and our legs are crossed. From here, arms up and over the head. And then let's draw a line through the heart as we lower our center of balance, bending those knees a lot, stealing horse position. From here, we can push right hand front, left hand guards overhead. Bringing hands back to the heart, and then either bringing hands onto our shins or grounding the hands onto the floor. Now, if your hands are grounded on floor, you'll be able to take these hip circles a little bigger. If they're on the shins, a lot smaller, but more core engagement. So there's advantages to both. And then just circling those hips. Taking those hip circles the other way. Now coming back center, let's soften the knees. I'll invite you to bring hands onto your thighs. The chin stays tucked. We push into the thighs as we roll ourselves up with crossed legs. When we get to our stand, uncrossing the legs, give it a shake. And then we'll do that sequence on our second side. As we shift weight onto the right foot, our left foot becomes... is this right? Is this second side?
Uh-huh.
Second side. Excellent. Okay, I get a little confused there, as I sometimes do. So either finding the kickstand tree, toes are on the ground, heels on ankle knob, it seems to fit like a Lego piece. Challenging your balance as you find your calf tree. And then maybe leaning down to catch the foot with the hand as we find our thigh tree. The toes face down, the heel faces up. Hands can stay on the hips. Hands might find the heart. Maybe stretching those hands high to the sky, and if the pose feels wobbly, wiggling those little twig fingers, keeping the shoulders relaxed. Now bringing high hands back to the heart if they went high. Hard hands become hip hands. We can swing this left thigh front. We're going to keep the knee bent, the toe faces down for the flamingo. Great place to hang out is finding your balance on one foot. Working that psoas muscle as we lean a little bit forward and lengthen through the leg. Lifting that leg just a tad higher. And then flexing the foot we'll land a cross step. Arms up and over out to the side, and then finding a prayer overhead, and we'll draw that prayer down through the heart as we lower our center of balance. I think this is the same side, huh? You sure?
Yes.
We'll push one hand up, one hand high. Maybe I'm just mixed up. And then coming back center, hands find the heart. We'll take it all the way down, either finding the shins or the ground, and then any amount, just circling those hips.
I think for whatever reason we might be doing the same hip side again, but the legs were different. I don't know.
I don't know either. Do what you will. Sometimes mistakes are made. Work with it. Maybe you'll get a little extra hip action on one side today.
Just do the hip sequence after.
Yeah. And then taking those circles the other way. From here, let's come back center. And we'll roll ourselves up. Hands find the thighs for the assist. And then lifting the chin, uncrossing the legs, give it a shake. Why not? From here, let's work through a swan sequence. So we'll start with our chair pose, knees over toes, hands over head. Exhaling, taking it lower. On the inhale, rising on up. And then a big swan dive over. Take a breath to find length. And then breathing out, back to down dog. As you
A little free range there. I didn't mean that.
It's all good. I'm going to tilt the camera here. And we'll get down. From here, big toes touch, heels slightly apart. Right leg high to the sky, high on the left toes. I think I'm mixing up my right and left today. So let's go right leg high, high on the left toes. Stacking the hips, bending that top leg, opening up that hip, and then sweeping that right knee through to right wrist. And we'll find our swan pose. So we're going to walk that left foot back, settling our hips at the same rate. I'll suggest unfurling the back foot, tops of the toes down, the tips of 10 fingers as we bring the shoulder blades back and down, and then leading with the heart as we find a forward fold. If the forehead easily reaches the ground, keeping the arms in extension. If that's not the case, finding a cross of the forearms or a pair of soft fists, and just letting yourselves be super, super heavy on the floor. As we hold the sleeping swan, I'll invite you to bring your mind into your hips. And even though the hips aren't going to move, you'll stretch the hips away from the midpoint as we find a little more space in the very center of ourselves. If the arms are extension, we'll walk the hands back, and let's find a twist each way as we find a perpendicular form on the bent knee side of things. Left hand out to the side, and pulling back with that hand as we stretch out our hips and low back. Now coming back center, perpendicular forearm, other hand out to the side, and we'll take a twist towards that bent front leg. Any amount. Now coming back center, grounded down through 10 fingers, shoulder blades backing down. I'll invite you to fly the swan. And this takes a lot of central core engagement. So we draw pelvic diaphragm up towards breath diaphragm, that little ball of intensity in the very center of ourselves as we lift our hands up to the sky. From here, spinning the palms out, tucking the back toes, lifting that right leg high, give that knee a little shake. And then grounded down into our down dog shape. Either holding your down dog, maybe walking the dog from side to side, or if you'd like to generate a little more tapas or heat, maybe cycling through vinyasa as you find chaturanga. Inhaling into up dog or cobra, and then stretching it back to your down dog. And again, take your time. From down dog shape, second side. Big toes touch, heels slightly apart. Left leg high to the sky, high on the right toes. stacking the hips, bending that left leg, opening up that hip, and then sweeping that left knee in towards left wrist as we find our swan. Walking that right foot back, settling the hips at the same rate, and then also just unfurling the foot so the tops of the toes are down. 10 fingers find the floor yet, so take that time to set those shoulders, walking the arms in extension. Once the arms are extension, just seeing if your forehead comes easily to the floor, if that's the case, keeping the arms in extension. If not, finding that cross of the forearms or a parasophus. It's good to have that forehead to physical surface connection. That's our third eye, our sixth chakra. Also a great way to release any tension in the back of the skull. As we hold the sleeping swan, putting your mind in your hips and stretching the hips away from the midpoint as we find a little more space in the very center of ourselves. And then breathing into that space. Nice subtle stretch for some of the more subtle structures that make up our hips. We always focus on that ball, this acetabulum, where the leg connects in, but lots of stuff going on to support that ball joint on all sides. From here, let's find swan twist. So if the arms are in extension, we're going to walk the hands on back. We're going to find a perpendicular forearm on the bent knee side of things. The other side, I think. Now I'm mixing it up. Outrigger hand. And you're going to pull back with that forearm as you twist out your low back. Giving yourself the exact right amount of traction. That's right for you. Now finding that other forearm, and we'll twist towards the bent knee, other outrigger hand. And again, any amount. I do this pose a lot, so I like to pull pretty hard. If you don't do this pose at all, if your knees are in a place where they would prefer to be in the next shape, maybe do a little bit less. Now coming back center, let's find the tips of 10 fingers as we set those shoulder blades back and down. Nice. And you're going to find that engagement. So we're going to draw pelvic diaphragm up towards breath diaphragm. It's a ball of intensity as you lift those hands up to the sky for the flying swan. Beautiful. And just so you know, this is Kathy's signature pose. It's been on Instagram. Beautiful. And a big smile. That's the best part of any pose, right? And then spinning the palms out, grounding down through two hands, tucking those back toes, finding your low lunge. Oh, I love that variation. Yeah, look at that. She turned her fingers back to stretch out her wrists, and now she turns in front. I'm going to have to cue that next class. And then finding your three-legged dog, left leg high. Give that leg a shake, and then grounding down through 2 feet, and either walking the dog, just stretching it out, or cycling through vinyasa, depending on where your energy level is at this point in the practice. So let me lower the tripod while she finishes that vinyasa. And let's do some groundwork here. Yeah, nice. All right. I think this should work. And we're both on the ground. So Kathy found a child's pose. I'll suggest you do that if you're still holding your down dog. In our child's pose, sits bones back to the heels as we nestle our belly inside our thighs. As we hold this child's pose with every breath in, letting your belly massage your thighs. With every breath out, letting your thighs massage your belly. As we connect with that big ball of warmth, it doesn't always have to be intensity in our center. It can be softness and ease. For some reason, I just thought of a chocolate kiss. So a big chocolate kiss. It's huge. Somewhere in the center of ourself. It is breathing into that big, gooey chocolate place. And we'll add a little effort to our ease here, keeping hips and heels just as they are, as we walk our hands to one side, stretching far hip to far heel. And then we'll find that side bend the other way, walking your hands the other way, stretching other hip to other heel. Now walking hands center, let's walk hands in as we find a kneeling hero pose. So the inner knees connect, We're seated on our feet, and our feet are unfurled, so the tops of the toes are down. One palm supports the other as we find our breath, just relaxing those shoulders. From here, let's work one of my favorite shoulder openers, Garudasana or Eagle Arms. Arms out to the side. We can bring right arm under left, either giving ourselves a cross-shoulder hug, great place to work. If you have a bit more to go and you know this shape, we can connect the palms. Elbows up, up, and away as we breathe into back hard. Now adding a little breath and movement, lengthening through both sideways, staying connected with the heels. As we find a little bit of a back bend, you might engage those glutes on a little bit of a micro level to support the shape. And then as if we're rounding up and over a ball, elbows towards navel, forehead towards hands. And we'll do that a couple times. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in, lifting up. Exhaling, rounding in. And then coming back up to neutral spine. And then releasing. The wind of the arms, one palm supports the other as we find our breath. Now we'll bring arms out to the side. We'll bring left under right, either finding that cross-shoulder hug, great place to work, or finding your eagle arms, elbows up, up, and away as we breathe into back hard. Now adding breath and movement as we lengthen through both sideways, staying grounded through the heels, inhaling. And exhaling as if we're rounding up and over a ball. Inhaling, lifting up. Exhaling, rounding it in. One more to go here. Breathing in, lifting up. Exhaling, rounding it in. And then coming back to neutral spine. And then releasing. A little wind in the arms. One palm supports the other. Finding our breath. Just relax shoulders. From here, let's bring our feet off to one side. And most of us have a habitual side, identifying that, and perhaps going the other way as we examine our patterns of movement. Let's find two long legs in front, and let's give our knees, the love and consideration they deserve as we bring a hand to each side, just warming up the connective tissue. Now our fingers are going to find the back of the knee, exploring that place. And then keeping the kneecap relaxed, just give it a little wiggle. A little more circulation, a little more prana in that place. And then finding your second knee. No need to rush, just warming up that connective tissue, tendons, ligaments, muscle that kind of looks like a tendon, or it turns into a tendon. And then fingers find the back of the knee. And then giving that kneecap a little wiggle. One of my favorite abdominal exercises. I do it all the time. So even though I've got maybe a larger belly after our COVID experience, I still have a strong center. So it doesn't matter how big your belly is, you can still be super strong in your center. And I'm proof of that. So anyway, we can start from our tall spine with Frankenstein arms. Tucking tail and chin as we slowly roll ourselves down. Give yourself some room overhead. When we get down, we can ground down through the back of the head, arms by the ears, not too low. We want to keep the ribs soft and drawing in. Big breath in as we point fingers and toes. And then flexing the feet, flexing the hands, staying grounded through the heels as we roll ourselves back up. When we get to our sit, we're going to stay in C spine. So tuck tail and chin. Shoulders draw away from the ears, ribs draw away from the feet. We can point fingers and toes as we breathe into back hard. And then flexing hands and feet, staying in C spine as we roll ourselves down. Inhaling, full body stretch. Exhaling, rolling ourselves up. Inhale, breathing into back heart. Exhaling, rolling ourselves down. Inhaling, full body breath. Let's do 6. This is 3. Exhaling, rolling it up. Inhale, full body stretch. We got 3 more to go. Exhaling, rolling it down. Inhale, full body stretch. Exhaling, rolling it up. Inhale, reach, reach, reach. I think we got 1 more, 2 more. Let's do 2 more for good measure. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. We got one more after this. Exhale, rolling it down. Inhale, full body stretch. Exhaling, rolling it up. Inhale, reach, reach, reach. And then on that next exhale, I'll invite you just to drape yourself over your legs for a very loose seated forward fold. We call it Paschimottanasana. Intense back body stretch, but this isn't so intense. It is more relaxed. Now a nice stretch for our low back. I'll invite you to lean onto one sits bone as we walk a sits bone back, other sits bone. And then finding that stretch on the other side. So a nice little stretch for your low back, just walking it from side to side. And after you've done 3 or 4 each way, coming back to center, grounded through 2 sits bones if appropriate for your back, you'll fold a little bit deeper. From here, let's move towards the classic yoga abdominal exercise. So we tuck the chin, we establish our tall spine. From here, we can scooch the heels in as we catch the back of the thighs. Now we want to tuck the tailbone a little bit here. So this is an interesting shape. So usually we tuck tail and chin together. And we're going to have a little bit of a tuck of the tailbone, not too much. We want to balance on our tailbone. But we want to be very wide and open in our heart and throat chakra. So it's the opposite of a tuck. We start to balance on our tailbone. We lift those legs. Our boat could be here as we let go. We can start to move towards parallel shins. We might go long through those legs. Yeah, you could always bend the knees and back off. You could always catch the back of the thighs. From here, I'll invite you to find a butterfly in the air. Soles of the feet connect. Thumbs catch the insoles of the feet. We can open up those feet like a book, and notice how that opens up the hips. From here, take a breath to set tall spine, leading with the heart, keeping tall spine as we fold. And depending on your back, you'll either stay in tall or neutral spine, or you'll let the spine round as we relax the shoulders. Relax the neck, a little tuck of the chin, easeful tuck. Let gravity do the work. There's a mantra or affirmation that goes with this shape. I go deep within to find all that I need. And either repeating that particular affirmation, that mantra, or maybe finding an affirmation that works for you. It could be as simple as, I'm going to eat more vegetables, or I'm going to be nicer to Kathy. Or Kathy's going to be nicer to Mark. Smiles. A tuck of the chin as we bring it on up. And let's do a version of Navasana called the Flying V. As we either use those peace sign fingers to catch our big toes. If that's a little too much, you could use your hands to catch your ankles. Again, a little tuck of the tail as we balance on our tailbone. Open heart, open throat. We stretch those legs high to the sky. And as we balance in our tailbones, encouraging those inner thighs to widen without losing your balance. Oops. It's sometimes fun to do yoga with somebody else. You can mess with each other. From here, let's find a butterfly in the air, landing the butterfly. Thumbs catch the insoles of the feet, opening up those feet and hips. Take a breath to sit tall. And then finding that forward fold, keeping neutral spine, trying to maximize that hinge at the hips. And then either staying there, that's the safest way to work your back. If your back is healthy this morning, and that varies, you might round the spine. And again, any affirmation, any mantra that works for you, just setting our intention for the day. And then a tuck of the chin as we bring it on up. Let's use our hands to close our thighs. From here, let's work a half butterfly. So I'm going to work right side first as I draw that right foot either onto my shin or onto my thigh. If you really want to push it, you can bring it all the way up. Near the sits bone of the long leg is the easy way. If you have a little more space in your hips, maybe think about trying to bring that heel towards the sits bone of the bent leg, and that can be pretty intense. And arrange yourself so you're comfortable there. Taking a breath to face that straight front leg, keeping neutral spine as long as you can as we find our forward fold. either staying in neutral spine or letting the spine round. As we breathe into that bent leg hip, noticing how it connects to the low back, noticing how the low back connects to mid-back, how mid-back connects to shoulders. In the midst of all that, just keeping that neck relaxed and that head heavy. Now a tuck of the chin as we walk the hands in. I'll suggest bringing a hand to each side of that bent knee as we draw it center. Lots of support. And then as you straighten the leg, flexing the foot as we straighten that leg, keeping the connective tissue around the knee safe with muscular engagement. Again, just give that knee a little love, a hand on each side. Fingers find the back of the knee. And then giving that kneecap a little wiggle. Second side, I'm working left leg in here. You can work the shin. You can work the thigh. You can bring it up towards the sits bone or the long front leg, or maybe finding a little more space in your pelvis as you try to bring it towards its own sits bone. Turning and facing that leg, leading with the heart, hinging at the hips, either staying in neutral or tall spine or letting the spine round. And we'll hold for 3 or 4 breaths. As we breathe into that hip, noticing how it connects to the low back, how the low back connects to mid-back, how everything connects to the shoulders. Neck relaxed, head heavy. So in the midst of effort, that's our ease, that relaxed neck, that heavy head. Now a tuck of the chin as we walk ourselves in, supporting that knee with a hand on each side as we bring it back center, flexing the foot as we straighten the leg. And then giving that knee a little love and consideration, a hand on each side. Fingers find the back of the knee. And then giving that kneecap a little wiggle. So let's do a sundial on each side before we come down under our backs. Let's go wide with the legs. Doesn't have to be too extreme here, but you want to feel a little stretch. We'll come to one side and we'll use our forearm to ground down either on the leg or you'll find the floor. We'll lift other hand high to the sky and we'll lean onto the sits bone where the forearm is as we lift the other sits bone up. And keeping the hand where it is as we slide that sits bone back down, and then arm stays close to the ear as we reach for the big toe. So we're stretching out that lateral top line, those top ribs, breathing into those ribs. And then letting a breath bring you on up. I think I'm out of frame for this second side. I don't think Kathy is, but anyway, other forearm, either using the limb or the floor, other hand high, and then we're going to lean onto that near sits bone, far sits bone lifts up, and then keep the hand where it is. And as you slide that sits bone back down, and then arm frames the ear as we reach for the big toe. Just breathing into that top lateral line. Find a little more space between each rib. Now letting an inhale bring you on up. And let's work a wide-legged roll down here. So we're going to stay wide with the legs. Frankenstein arms starting from tall spine. Finding C-spine as we slowly roll ourselves down. We'll do one more ab exercise before we lay down and relax. Slow, slow, slow. When we get down, a big X on the floor. So the back of the head is down. Arms by the ears. Again, not too low. We're going to keep the ribs from popping out. We're going to keep them soft and drawing in. From here, we'll lift the chin to look at our navel. We'll lift one leg. We'll lift the other as we draw energy into center. Maybe finding the tips of the shoulders as you take it a little bit higher. Yeah, Kathy's pointing and flexing her feet. Why not? Beautiful. And then we'll come all the way down, back of the head down. I'll invite you to bring one hand on the belly, other hand on top. And it's not always about engagement in our center. It's also beneficial to learn how to relax. So finding your belly breath, letting your belly be soft. Connecting with that big Hershey kiss in the very center of ourselves. That soft, gooey chocolate. Organs relax.
big salty chicharrone.
Chicharrone? Okay. I don't even, that's like fried pork or something.
So good.
So good. From here, let's do one more shape before we lay down and relax for our Shavasana. As we draw our knees in towards our armpits, soles of the feet face the sky, we reach up and catch our ankles or the outside edges of the feet, and just using the weight of the hands and the arms to heavy those knees down for our happy baby. And then gently rocking the baby from side to side, massaging, no worries, massaging your kidneys, releasing and relaxing the low back. And then coming back center, coming back to a focus on your breath, watching as it flows in and out. And initially keeping this focus on the breath as we go long through the legs, arms out to the side, give your thighs and armpits lots of permission to breathe, scooting the head back as we flatten the shoulders, finding our Shavasana, or floating in a cloud pose. Tip of the tongue now neutral in the mouth. A slight part to the lips, but still breathing in and out through the nose. And as we hold this shape, about a minute or two, even letting that focus on the breath soften as we take our senses inside for Pratyahara. You all stay in your Shavasana. I'm going to roll up and grab my yoga bells. As we hold our Shavasana, I'll invite you to consider front plane of the body falling into the back plane, and then both planes of the body heavying into the floor. Now I'm going to ring these yoga bells 3 times. I'll invite you to move your minds before you move your bodies. Just bringing your attention back to your breath, watching as it flows in, and watching as it flows out. Almost like watching the waves of the ocean as the waves wash in, and as those waves wash out. Now calling your body to this time and place as we shape our breath with a long, slow inhalation, matched by an even longer, slower exhalation. So we're varying that ratio between the inhale and the exhale. So long, smooth breaths in. Longer, smoother, slower breaths out. Keeping this more relaxing breath, I'll invite you to gently ripple your fingers and toes, inviting more prana, more life force into our bodies. And then drawing that prana in towards center as we gently circle our wrists and our ankles. I'll invite you to add a little shimmy of the shoulders, a little shake of the hips, whatever feels right and good for you, as we connect with our own intuitive sense of what's right and good for us, our own innate wisdom. Now moving towards Apanasana as we draw one knee at a time in towards our heart. Hands catch our shins. If there's somewhere else you want to go, go there. Using our thighs to massage our belly. Any movement that feels right and good, front to back, side to side, maybe little circles, maybe one leg and then the other. Giving yourself exactly what your body and breath and spirit want. And then keeping the knees close in, rolling onto a side, stretching long through that right arm, letting that right arm serve as a cushion for the head as we share a long, slow breath here on the floor. I invite you to let that breath sigh out through your mouth. softening your shoulders, relaxing your jaw, softening the corners of your eyes. And the neck relaxed, face soft, an easeful tuck to the chin as we push on up to claim a cross-legged sit. Grounded down through our sits bones, I'll invite you to bring your hands onto your knees, pulling back with your hands to sit up a little straighter, a little taller. Without shortening the neck, a slight tuck of the chin as 5 fingers of one hand find the ground. The palm of the other hand faces the sky. Ending our practice as we started, just watching as our breath flows in and as our breath flows out. From this place of breath awareness, I invite you to bring your hands to your heart and bow as you thank yourself for practicing yoga. And as we offer our practice out to each other and to the world, the light within me honors and respects the light within you. And in this light, we're one. Namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you, Kathy, for practicing with me.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you at home for practicing with us.
Thank you.
And we'll see you soon, either online or live. And have a great, great day.